Sports Network presents the Fantasy Football Playoff Draft.
Kelsey stretches out for the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City! Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelsey.
Featuring the BSN hosts drafting the best players in the NFL postseason.
Here's Purdy going to hand off to McCaffrey again. Gets into the second level. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! CMC!
Here are your hosts from FantasyGuru.com, Kyle Elfrink and Adam Ronis of FantasyAlarm.com.
Well, if you thought we were done, you were incorrect. We welcome you to the postseason. Yes, the regular season is finished, but the postseason just about ready to begin. And as we love to say in the fantasy sports world, if they're going to play it, we're going to play it. That's what we do with postseason football. We welcome you in to the Fantasy Football Playoff Draft right here on the Better Sports Network. Kyle Elfrink and Adam Ronis hanging out with you as we get you set for the 2023 NFL playoffs. Adam, it is a pleasure to have you with us. Good to be talking. Good to know the regular season was no successful for you, but let's be honest, it's totally different once you play fantasy football in the postseason, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lot different because you really are not only picking the right players, but you have to predict which teams are going to advance the furthest. And especially when you're doing a draft, your strategy could change based on where you're picking, who's picked ahead of you. So you really have to be flexible. We say that in every single draft, but I think in this one with the playoffs, it's even more so.
Well, in the challenge tonight, if you select somebody playing in a wild card weekend, if they lose, you lose that player at that position. Let's say you have a quarterback. Let's say it's Trevor Lawrence. Let's say the Jaguars are defeated by the Chargers. It's over for you, Adam. You still have your running backs and maybe your receivers, but man, you're without a quarterback, and that'll be the challenge for all of our participants tonight.
Yeah, and it's going to happen to everyone. You know, you can only have one quarterback in this format, so you want to pick the one that's going to advance the furthest. You're obviously hoping to find a team that's playing in this first weekend in the Super Wild Card round that gets to the Super Bowl because that's 4 games. So we've seen in the past some teams come out of nowhere and surprise, and that's who the draftees will be looking for, that team that's going to maybe surprise that people aren't looking at that can play 4 games.
And, of course, the player pool is dramatically limited. We've got just 14 teams that make the postseason. Only 2 of them have buys. That, of course, being Kansas City and Philadelphia. So they're not going to play this weekend, but everybody else does have that action. And if you look at kind of the Vegas odds as we enter the playoffs, Adam, I mean, in effect, you have maybe 5 teams that are considered good bets or to have a good shot at the Super Bowl. You know, that would be Kansas City, Philadelphia. That would be San Francisco thrown in there. Buffalo would be in there. And then probably that 5th team, if you kind of stretch it out just a bit, would be Cincinnati. Other than that, the other 9 teams in this playoff field, they're kind of seen as long shots to make it to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see if anyone disagrees with that, and maybe they're forced to, especially as it gets later in the draft. But if you can somehow find that team outside of that top 5 that you mentioned, and they do advance, I mean, you could take this whole thing down. The key is who is going to be that team. And that's interesting to see when these draft strategies are put forward, if anyone goes off the board and deviates from those top 5 teams that I think is pretty much consensus.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with postseason fantasy football, understand this. There are dozens of ways to play the postseason when it comes to fantasy football. Some do a one and done. Some do a draft and hold like we're doing tonight. You have different lineup procedures. Some have benches. Some don't. Tonight, we won't have a bench. We'll do 9 rounds. Those 9 guys, those are your players. They play every week for you. So a lot of strategies can alter, can change, can adjust depending on your league. So if you're interested in getting into this, understand what your league is. Now, before we get to some of the specifics for this league, let us introduce you to our 7 BSN experts who are going to be a part of this 9-round draft. So do the math there. We're talking about 63 players coming your way over the coming hour or so. Leading things off from the Monday Night Rants, we will hear from Edward Rouse. Edward does get the number 1 pick, and we thought that was only fair because he has drawn an awful awful lot in life. He is a Liverpool FC fan, so we wanted to reward him with the number 1 pick. So he will go first. At number 2 is your partner in crime, Adam, Justin Finsterman of the Playbook will go at number 2. And as I'm sure he's reminded you, before this championship that he's hoping to win beginning tonight, his number 1 accomplishment is captain of the varsity bowling team in high school. That's the extent of his success. So he's a co-host that really needs a victory beginning tonight.
Yeah, pretty sad if that is the standard that you set for the biggest accomplishment and varsity bowling, and that's something you want to brag about. I would hide that fact. I wouldn't let that out there.
Says the softball Hall of Famer, Adam Roden.
That's more accomplishment than bowling. Come on, man. That's more. I'm still playing, man. My goal is to play till 60, 65.
Oh, man, you got goals. Crazy goals. In the 3 spot, representing Campus to Canton, Felix Sharp will go in that 3 hole. Now, we debated whether or not to have Felix in the draft because Felix is a lifelong Detroit Lions fan. But we felt it was only fair since the Lions have literally not won a game in the postseason since the Super Bowl era. We said, let's do Felix a favor. Let's let him be in this draft. Let's let him enjoy the postseason. Because as a Lions fan, you don't get to do that. Oh, he now tells me they did win in 92. That's one in the Super Bowl. He even knows the date, the last playoff win, January 5th of 92.
Look, things are trending up for the Lions, though. I mean, that was a great win to end the regular season, and they finished 9-8, and they are definitely going to be a popular pick next year, I think, to potentially win that division and go far. I think they have turned things around. So I think there's optimism if you're a Lions fan right now.
If you're looking for front yard fantasy, you got them back-to-back in this draft. Simon going to go in the 4 spot. Now, if you're looking for somebody with the Alabama emblem, the Crimson Tide, and you want to find it tattooed on their backside, Simon's your guy. So understand that. At 5, we've got Coop. Coop was bragging that he has defeated the Lion King on Super Nintendo, and not only has won it, Adam, he managed that feat. I think it's fair to call it a feat. He managed that feat on hard mode to defeat Lion King on Super Nintendo. How about that?
I mean, that is just impressive. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, we have a room full of people that with a lot of accomplishments in life.
Yeah, I think they call this a room full of luminaries, is what they say. Eric Balkman of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show is going to be drafting from the 6 hole. Now, Eric does have an actual accomplishment. Some people would say, oh, I was there for the first game that Brett Favre took over and started his consecutive game streak. Now, Eric was there, but he terms it as the last chance to watch Don Mikowski under center, the magic man who gave way to Brett Favre. So Eric's going to be drafting from the 6 hole. And then finally, a man who has not only met Kanye West twice, but actually shook his hand twice. That's what we hear. Now, Kanye is a guy who will only shake your hand once, but Corey Parson of Corey, Nando, and Friends, Adam met him twice and shook his hand twice. How about that?
I didn't even know this. And, I know Corey for a while. He never told me this. So I don't know if he's doing this to get attention or if this is true.
No, I'm told it's true. We've dug deep here at BSN to find all the accomplishments of our 7 experts tonight. So that is like pre-fantasy playoff drafting. Tonight, we'll go post, and we'll see if these guys can come up with some more accomplishments. In terms of how we're playing this, here it is. Every week, you will start 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex, and yes, a kicker and a defense. So every week, all 7 of these combatants will have 9 people, at least for the first week, in their lineup. Now, again, as you lose, if the Chargers lose, if the Bengals lose, if the Vikings lose, the Giants lose, you lose those players. So it's kind of a survival to get to the finish line, to get to Arizona for that Super Bowl. It is a PPR setup. It is 4 points per touchdown and a point for every 20 yards passing. Now, we do want to remind everybody out there, what we're doing tonight, it's kind of just a fun one between friends, between the experts and personalities here at BSN. But you can be a part of a league that will have Adam Ronis in it, that will have myself in it, that will have Simon, that will have Felix, that will have Edward, Justin, all these guys. Yes, you can be in our very own fantasy football playoff battle. How do you do it? Well, all you got to do is go online. Go to bettersports.com. You'll see the banner right there at the top. Click it. You can register. You can build. You can play. You can win. We have prizes in this playoff league each and every weekend. So there's a week 1 winner, week 2 winner, week 3 winner. So different prizes each and every week. I know that for week 1, it's quite a prize. You get $500 in cash. You get an autographed helmet of your choice. You also get entered into the RT Sports $500,000 grand prize full season fantasy football league for next year. So a lot on the line even for week 1. And again, more prizes coming your way for week 2 and week 3. I want to thank our friends at Lucra for helping us out with that. Lucra is a challenge for you to battle your friends, the sports you enjoy, the games that you enjoy playing. Why not get your friends involved? So check it out today. Download the app, the Lucra app, and you can start winning today. And when you download that app, use the BSN promo code BSN, and you'll get $5 thrown into your Lucra account. Okay, we have set the scene. We are ready to rock and roll. Again, a lot of strategies at play. Now, this is going to be a 9-round draft. And again, you can only have 1 QB. You can have a max of 3 running backs, a max of 3 receivers. You got that 1 tight end, place kicker, defense. That is how we're playing it tonight. You will see a board being pop up here, and you'll be able to follow this board as Adam and I cover things here on BSN. Let us get rolling, and let's begin at the top of the draft. Joining us for the first pick overall in the fantasy football playoff draft here on the Better Sports Network, we've got Edward Rouse that is hanging out with us. Of course, you can catch Edward on Monday Night Rants. He is here to make our first selection of this draft. So let's get things rolling, and we'll connect here with Edward. I will say this off the top, Adam. A lot of different ways to go here. It's, in in-season fantasy football, you sit there and you say, okay, it's 1 of 2 guys, 1 of 3 guys. Totally different monster what we're going to deal with here and what Edward has to deal with for the pick.
For sure. I mean, it all depends on who you think is going to advance to the Super Bowl. So there could be 3-4 different picks. I would, if I had to guess, I would probably narrow it down to like 3 or 4 guys. So I'll have those players in my mind, and we'll see if Edward does indeed pick one of them. But it all comes down to who you think is going to advance to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be different for everyone.
Well, let's bring him in. I know he's a Chargers backer, so maybe he's leaning towards the bowl. Edward Rouse is with us. Edward, give us a quick strategy as you're planning this and hit us with the pick.
Well, I actually went through and did a whole
Edward. Oh, there you go.
Oh, sorry. I did a whole rundown of how I thought the playoffs would go all the way through the Super Bowl, right? So I have my 2 teams who I think are going to go to the Super Bowl. So based on that, I kind of said, okay, and we've talked before, I'm a running back hoarder. So, of course, my pick's going to be a running back here, even though I could pick a quarterback. But, let's go true to myself. So I'm going to go with McCaffrey. For the first pick, I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey because I think the 49ers are going to go to the Super Bowl, and he'll play in the most games and get the most touches out of all the running backs on the board. So McCaffrey is my pick.
Is that one of your guys, Adam? Was he one of the 4?
It absolutely was, because I do also have San Francisco advancing to the Super Bowl. So again, this comes down to personal preference. I mean, some people are going to have Philadelphia, obviously NFC, and if that does come to fruition, they're only going to play 3 games. But McCaffrey obviously has been the centerpiece of this offense, not only what he does on the ground, but in the passing game. So he would definitely be one of the picks that I would consider number 1 overall.
There you go. Christian McCaffrey going number 1 to Edward Rouse. Let's go to our number 2 selection. Justin Finsterman now with us. He has left the captaining of the bowling team, and he is here to make his first pick in the first round of our fantasy football playoff draft. Justin, take it away. What's the strategy? What's the pick?
Well, the strategy, first of all, the strategy is to always throw a strike, and someone that's going to be throwing a lot of strikes, running in a lot of strikes, a.k.a. touchdowns. That's going to be Josh Allen. I am thrilled beyond belief that Edward let him slip to me, but that's his strategy. He might win. I might look like the idiot. I think the Bills are winning the Super Bowl, and I'm glad to have the guy that's going to be slinging the rock there, throwing all those strikes and turkeys, baby.
Yeah, I like this pick as well because I also do have Buffalo advancing. So for me, it would have come down if I was picking one to Josh Allen or McCaffrey. I probably would have went with the quarterback. I mean, if you're going to get 4 games from Josh Allen, because we know what he can do on the ground as well. So do like this pick here as well. Josh Allen would have been one of the ones I consider as well.
Up next is our resident Lions backer. Yes, they exist. They really exist now. Everybody's fired up about the Lions, even Adam Ronis. Felix Sharp is with us, campus to Canton. Felix, great to have you with us. Strategy you're thinking about, and what's the pick for tonight in the first round?
I think my strategy right now is to run up to the podium. 2 people let Patrick Mahomes go. Can't believe that, but it's a war of attrition. I want someone who's healthy and who's scoring. That describes Patrick Mahomes. The 2 gentlemen in front of me, all due respect to them, they messed up. So we ran up to the podium and dropped in the card for Patrick Mahomes.
There you go. It's like you have the Texans and the Jets drafting ahead of you. You knew they were going to mess it up, so you raced up there for Mahomes. How about it? You don't get the game this week, Adam Ronis, but you certainly get Pat Mahomes, which isn't a bad way to go.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, again, I don't think it's crazy for him to fall to 3, but it all depends on how far you have Kansas City advancing. And as you mentioned, they're not playing this week. So if they somehow, get to the AFC Championship and lose, you're only getting 2 games out of him, and that's going to be a problem. But if you think they're going to the Super Bowl, then you're getting 3 games.
Let's get back-to-back front yard fantasy, shall we? These guys battle it out in the morning. They're going to be battling it out in this draft. We start with Simon. Simon, we got McCaffrey, Allen, and Mahomes off the board. What are you going with?
Well, I really wanted to go with Patrick Mahomes here. Was banking on Felix continuing the mistake of errors, letting him slide. But I guess I'm going to have to go a different direction. And I'll take another guy with a bye in the first round. But on the other side, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, with my first-round pick here.
Adam?
Yeah, with Hurts, I mean, at least you saw him come back last week. There wasn't a lot of design runs for him, I think only 5, but you could understand that. They were playing a bunch of backups in the Giants. I think the key is he was able to get through that game healthy, has another bye to rest. And I think the Eagles are starting to get healthy too. I think that's the key. They might have peaked a little too early and then started to go down, but they easily can get out of the NFC. Another guy, though, if they make the Super Bowl, you're getting 3 games out of him.
Okay, so Jalen Hurts is the pick at 4. 3 of the first 4 selections at the quarterback spot. Let's go to Coop, who is following up Simon. Did you lose out there on some of your picks, I'm guessing, Coop? Oh, we need your microphone if you can hit it there.
I got it.
There we go. Now we got you loud and clear.
Did they unmute me? Am I good? Am I live?
Yep, we got you.
I'm being sabotaged here. I think is that what's going on?
They don't like your pick. That's
are you behind this, Ronis? Are you behind this?
Not me. No. I'm your teammate, man. Come on.
Yeah. So hey, you know what? You're my teammate at Fantasy Alarm, and maybe a little foreshadowing. You might be my teammate coming up in some later rounds here. But yes, some of my picks did get taken. Jalen Hurts actually not being one of them, surprisingly. But I am going to lean into a guy on a team I think is going to go deep, and a team that is playing this round, which gives me that extra game. And I think that in terms of matching up a top talent that's going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs on the Bills and see if I can get 4 games from one of the best wide receivers out there.
Yeah, I really like this pick too, because again, it all comes down to who you have advancing. And I do have the Bills getting to the Super Bowl, and they do have a good matchup here against Miami. And Diggs is the go-to guy when you look at this Bills offense. It has struggled at times, but the one constant, I know he had a stretch of a couple bad games, but Diggs is the guy. So if you've got the Bills playing 4 games and you can get Diggs here in the first round, it's a good pick.
We have made it to selection number 6 of the first round. Again, 7 experts in this draft. Eric Balkman is one of them. Catch him with the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show on Wednesday nights. Eric, strategy you're thinking about and pick that you are going with in round 1.
I've talked with a lot of high-stakes players who play in the FFPC's contest, which is not dissimilar from this that we're drafting in. And the one thing that I've heard over and over from them, you have to map out how you think the bracket is going to end up at the end when it's all said and done when we get to the Super Bowl. I've done that. There's one quarterback that is still out there that I think is going to get to the Super Bowl this year, and I'm going to shock the world. He was the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft. He's going to be my first pick in this fantasy football draft. Give me Brock Purdy. Woo! I think the Niners get to the Super Bowl. I think Brock Purdy's a huge reason why. He's going to be my quarterback. He's playing in the first round. He's playing in the divisional playoff. I think he plays in the championship game, and I think he plays in the Super Bowl as well. I take Brock Purdy.
How about that, Ronas? 5 weeks ago, he wouldn't have even been in this draft.
It's true, but here's the thing. What he said is true. You have to take a stand. I know you hear this in like GPPs, either first or last, but it's so true here. You're either going to win this thing or it doesn't matter where you finish. So if you do have San Francisco advancing, and I do, I was thinking if I was in this draft, what would I do late in the round? Brock Purdy was under consideration. I know for some it might seem crazy, but if you have San Francisco in the Super Bowl, he's a good pick.
We've got back-to-back picks here from Corey Parson, wrapping up the first round, starting the second round. Let's get his first pick, then we'll take a timeout on our coverage. Let's flip it over to Corey. Corey, what are you thinking here for the last selection of round one?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Been getting our snake so far, but obviously, we know who the popular players are going to be in this format, particularly, as everybody tries to handicap the bracket and see who's going to go where. So I'm going to go a little bit off the board on this one. And I am going to select, I'm going to go with Devin Singletary, running back for the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are a team playing with a purpose this year. Steph Diggs already off the board. I'm going to make Singletary my first pick. I know Cook is very popular as well, but I'm going to go Devin Singletary first.
Okay, and that makes 2 running backs in the first 7 selections, Adam. So again, we talk about the difference, regular season versus a postseason draft. There's a perfect example right there.
Yeah, and also 3 Bills in the first round, and it looks like they're going to be a difficult team to stack, which is not surprising. They're one of the favorites. And Singletary, I think you need the 4 games from him. We have seen Cook more involved. I think he's an interesting pick later. I'm intrigued to see where he goes. But, if he scores a couple of touchdowns, catches at least a few passes in 4 games, then it could wind up being a big pick. Again, it's all about volume here. So that's why you're seeing the Bills, 3 Bills in the first round, because they are a popular pick to play 4 games.
So the first round is in the books here. Now we've got 8 more to go. To recap the first round, you can see it there on your screen. McCaffrey, number 1, followed by Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Stephon Diggs, Brock Purdy, and Devin Singletary. That is 1 through 7. Still 56 picks to go. Are we whetting your appetite for what we're doing? Do you say, oh my gosh, this postseason stuff is fun? Well, again, join our NFL Playoff Challenge at Better Sports. Weekly prizes. Take on your favorite host. You can battle Adam. You can battle Simon. You can battle Corey. Everybody going to be having fun. Now, we can't win. I don't think we can. But you can win. You can win every week if you put up the best effort. So go to bettersports.com right now. Click on the banner. You can sign up. It's powered by Lucra. We're teaming up with our friends from Fantasy Guru as well. So get involved, fire it up, have some fun, and enjoy some postseason fantasy football. Kyle Elfrink and Adam Ronas with you on the Better Sports Network. A breather for us, and we're back with a whole lot more action. Rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll knock them all out next, right here on BSN.
Better Sports Network. Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Burley picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side. Has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season. The 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux, his first goal
in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog, Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go in the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downing, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Fantasy football continues with the NFL postseason. This is the Fantasy Football Playoff Draft on Better Sports Network. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Adam Ronis.
Kyle Elfrink and Adam Ronis back with you on BSN. You have landed in round 2 of our Fantasy Football Playoff Draft. We've got 7 of our finest analysts and experts a part of this draft. The first round of our PPR setup is over. Picks were as followed. Christian McCaffrey, number 1, followed by Josh Allen. You see Pat Mahomes in the 3 spot, followed by Jalen Hurts, a run of 3 straight quarterbacks. Stephon Diggs at 5. Brock Purdy at number 6, and Devin Singletary at 7. Still looking at 6 and 7 there, Adam, and saying, yeah, I like this. I like the strategy at play with those selections.
Yeah, it's the players that you are probably surprised about. But again, it's all comes down to who you have advancing the furthest. So if you truly believe San Francisco is going to get to the Super Bowl and play 4 games, you want their quarterback in Purdy. And same thing with Devin Singletary. If you pick Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl, that's 4 games. And while he might not score as many points as some of the other players that maybe you're considering, you're looking at games played, and that volume is important if you're trying to win this.
Well, it's interesting to see a draft anywhere where Brock Purdy goes before Justin Herbert, goes before Joe Burrow, a draft where Devin Singletary goes before Austin Eckler. But again, those extra games, if you get them, that is the payoff. So the first round is in the books. Now, again, I want to remind you, you can be a part of a very simple, very fun, and winning playoff fantasy football league that we've got here at Better Sports Network. Again, bettersports.com is where you need to go. Click the link. You can sign up. The setup's a bit different from this, but it's very easy, explainable. You can start today. You can build throughout the week and be ready to go in week 1. It's brought to you by our friends at Lucra, also our friends at Fantasy Guru. Big thank you to them. Okay, let's bring back in our experts as we begin with round 2, and we're going to hear from all these guys with their picks. Adam Ronis will have the breakdown. Last we heard from Corey Parson, he was making the selection of Devin Singletary. He's believing in the Bills heading to the Super Bowl. We're back for round 2 here, Corey. What's the pick to get us started?
You know, when you drafting in this format right here, and you guys spoke about, listen, the players may not look like who you think the players would be, but obviously trying to accumulate points, trying to do the best job at that, and having players advance and play deep into the tournament. But then there's also a part of this where you don't really see in your regular season fantasy leagues, where you are not only drafting your team, but you're trying to protect against somebody putting together a super team. So you got to be a stack blocker out here. So I'm going to go stack blocker right now. And I'm going to go off the board a little bit. And I'm going to take George Kittle, tight end of the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to let Eric stack Brock Purdy and George Kittle. and hit multipliers on these points and blow the rest of us away. You know what I'm saying? So Brock Purdy, you can throw to Debo and everybody else, but George Kittle's coming with me.
I understand what you were doing. See, I would have made that pick, but not for those reasons. I get what you're saying because I think Eric is still in a good spot, and I'm interested to see if he was considering Kittle. I'm pretty sure he is going to go with a 49er. But at the same time, with Corey, he's got, Buffalo. He thinks there's going to go Devin Singletary 4 games. I would hope that he believes that San Francisco is also going to play 4 games because now you got the NFC side of it with Kittle, and Kittle has really emerged with Purdy at quarterback. Now, Deebo Samuel was out for a portion of the time, and he just came back last week, but finally, Kittle is finding the end zone because I think Kittle, you can make a case he's better than Travis Kelce. It's just he never is deployed like that. So I understand his strategy of it too, but I hope he really believes that San Francisco playing 4 games because then I like it too.
Well, and the other part of it, okay, you block a guy, you maybe get the 4 games. You did pass on Travis Kelce with that pick, which is a possibility here too. Let's go to Eric Balkman. Eric, what's the pick? Did you lose out on Kittle? Do you have to readjust quickly?
I wouldn't say I lost out on him, but I would say that I was considering him for sure. I think Kelce is interesting here because I do believe that the Chiefs do get to the Super Bowl. And listen, I'm from the FFPC. We give more tight ends love than their wives even do, right? So I probably should have been considering Kittle and obviously Kelce here. I'm going to pivot a little bit. And I'm going to go with a guy that I think plays 3 games, yet he doesn't get one in the first round. It's a guy who's come on late in the season. I think he's integral to what the Chiefs do. And I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon here, the running back out of Kansas City. I'm projecting a Kansas City, San Francisco Super Bowl. I can't get McCaffrey. I can't get Mahomes. I'm going to get the quarterback from San Francisco. I'm going to get the running back from Kansas City. Give me Jerick McKinnon here, guys.
Yeah, I think, again, as Kyle alluded to with Purdy before, if we would have said, hey, this is how a team's going to start a draft like 6 weeks ago, everyone would have said we're crazy. But that's how things go. And it's now 6 straight games with a receiving touchdown for McKinnon, 2 with multiple. So the volume isn't there. We are relying on touchdowns. But when you look at this Kansas City offense, he's an integral piece, and he's out there in the red zone a lot. So I understand why he made this pick, although some people might be like McKinnon there. But if you have the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, it makes sense.
Up next is Coop, 3rd pick of round 2. He started with Stephon Diggs. How you rolling here in round number 2, Coop?
Dude, so I had Kittle teed up there, man. I love his matchup against the Seahawks this week. No matter who he plays next week, it's not a bad matchup. So that kind of hurts. I'm going to employ a little game theory here. I looked at the rules, and it says you can only draft 1 quarterback. You can't even draft a backup one if you wanted to. Going back that way, it's quarterback, my buddy Ed, and then it comes back. So I'm going to let Ed pick who he wants at quarterback. I'll pick from whoever's left over. That means I have to take somebody from the rest of these guys. I know I'd be kind of betting against myself if I take a Bengal. So I'm going to go and take another wide receiver from a deep pool, AJ Brown. Try and get guys from both sides. So I see Simon there. He loves the pick. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, Simon, who has Hurts, Adam was maybe hoping he could tag team a Brown-Hurts combo.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. That's why with Eric, I thought he actually might go a 49ers receiver. If you're all in on Purdy, I would try and pair it. And I'm sure that's what Simon was going to do. And Coop did a very smart thing. You always say this, know the rules and employ that strategy. And I'm sure he felt, okay, there's 2 quarterbacks I like. If one goes, I'll just settle for the other one. And then he goes opposite. He has an AFC wide receiver in Diggs and now an NFC. Yeah. So he's hoping for a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl there.
Well, you reference it's a smart thing. I don't know if it's ever a smart thing to kick your co-host in the shins, but that's what happened here. So
that's
Simon
okay.
Is here, and again, he had to call the audible, I guess, when AJ Brown went off the board. What do you think of your morning teammate there, Simon?
I'm a little upset. I'll take it out on him tomorrow when I'm running the game, and he's the contestant. He's not winning anything tomorrow morning, but I wanted the stack. I know they both have a 1st-round bye, but I'll take 2 players that I project as playing 3 full games because most of the players in these playoffs will not play even that amount. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take a wide receiver that I think will play in 4 games and blew up in the postseason last year. It's a bit of a pick that I'm hoping we get some of that playoff magic that he captured last year, but Gabriel Davis is my pick in the second round here, Buffalo Bills wide receiver.
You think to yourself, Adam, if Gabriel Davis just has one game like he had at Kansas City last year, that pick is a hell of a good pick there.
I know I've been pretty complimentary so far. I hate this pick.
Oh,
I mean, for real, like you have Jalen Hurts. Like, why don't you take Devontae Smith? Right? Yeah. If you were going to take AJ Brown, why aren't you taking Devontae Smith? I don't get it. I mean, I understand 3 games for both, but if you truly believe the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, take a stand. What's the AJ Brown's better, but Devontae Smith's been a big play. So, I look, if you think the Bills are going to play 4 games, fine. But we've seen Gabriel Davis just really disappoint and make some just not get it done. So, I don't like the strategy there.
If a guy were to have 200 yards receiving in this postseason, that could be your best bet. Who knows? But
that's true. He did do it last year. If he gets one of those games, then he'll be happy. He'll be like, "See, I told you."
Yep. Let's go to Felix Sharp. He is next. A lot of options still on the board, including a certain Chief here. Felix, what are you thinking?
I was just going to say, Adam, I was thinking about the stack, but that's a risk tolerance issue. I don't know if I should put all of my eggs in that one basket or diversify. I thought that Simon was going to go with the player that I'm going to take now. I am going to diversify my portfolio a little bit, and I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel, who should be healthy now. You want to get a young quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant going, put Deebo Samuel in the backfield, let him run bubble screens. He should be back in action. I'm taking Deebo here.
Felix was gifted, and he let it go. This is not the draft to diversify. You have to go all in. That's how it works. Again, I've seen the teams that have success. You make a stand. So he already said, okay, I have Patrick Mahomes going to Super Bowl. How do you not take Travis Kelce here? I think it's a mistake. So we've seen 2 people in this round diversify 2 picks in a row. I wouldn't have done it.
Now here's the issue. Our next selector is Justin Finsterman. He has Josh Allen. He can't go Stephon Diggs. He can't go Gabriel Davis. He can't go Devin Singletary. Justin, you can go Dawson Knox if you'd like to go with him in this spot. What are you doing with that second pick?
Man, this puts me in a very tough spot because there's
Cole Beasley is available too, by the way.
What's that?
Cole Beasley is available.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will respectfully.
I'm just trying to help you.
I know you are. But instead, you know what, Roan, you were talking about, you're actually pretty good at this, and you made some sense with what you were saying before. I mean, you have to go with players naturally who you think are going to make the Super Bowl. On the other side, for me, that's the Philadelphia Eagles. And with that, I'm going to go with Devontae Smith for my wide receiver for this one here.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl, this makes sense. Again, I thought Smith should have went with Jalen Hurts. I think you do need to stack here. You got to make a stand. Don't diversify. Don't hedge. Those teams usually do not win these contests.
Yet to see a Cincinnati Bengal off the board. Haven't seen a single one. Let's go to Edward Rouse. He started with Christian McCaffrey. That got things rolling in this fantasy football playoff draft. Edward, we bring you back for a couple of picks. Let's get your first. Where are you going?
Well, things haven't quite gone the way I would like the first overall pick, but Koopa's onto something with the quarterback stuff, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But and this one may surprise you guys. I'm not going to go with Justin Herbert here. I'm going to go with Burrow. I'm going to take Joe Burrow right here with this pick. So there's your Cincinnati Bengal off the board right there. Just to get a quarterback I think is guaranteed at least 2 games at this point, right? The Ravens I'm not too afraid of. The spread is a little close in the Chargers-Jaguars game, so Burrow it is.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that the Bengals lasted this long. I mean, I think there's some people out there that feel that they can make a run and get to the Super Bowl once again. And if you're going to wait, a team where you could possibly stack now is the Bengals. Again, we mentioned 5 teams that potentially could get the Super Bowl. The Bengals were one of them. They're obviously going to have a tough spot in the second round if we think that they're going to play the Bills in Buffalo, but there's no reason why they can't win that game. So Burrow is a quarterback that's capable of taking his team to the Super Bowl once again.
Oh, and you heard Edward mention the Chargers. We're sitting here 14 picks in, 2 rounds. There's nothing from LA. There's nothing from Jacksonville. Minnesota doesn't have any representation. The Giants don't have any representation. Baltimore. So we got to get these other teams as we go deeper in the draft. Right now, we're hitting the favorites. Edward has the turn, the first pick of round 3. So you got your running back. You got your quarterback. What's next, Edward?
Well,
dramatic pause.
Will this be the first Charger off the board?
Yeah, this will be the first one if you're going to pull that trigger.
It will not. I'm going with the stack. I'm taking Jamar Chase with my Burrow pick. It's my wide receiver 1. Going with the stack here. Come on, Bengals. Unless you play the Chargers. Let's go.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, you're playing. I think the Bengals stack was kind of not handed to him, but forced on him. I think you get to a point in this draft where maybe you didn't think going in, I'm going to stack Bengals, but the way the board fell, this makes sense. You hoping that they play 4 games, get to the Super Bowl, but Burrow Chase is a great stack. Even you might only get 2 games out of him. You hope for the full 4, maybe you get 2 or 3, and that could really help. So I think his decision was made for him. It was either another Bengal or another 49er, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And the 49ers kind of getting wiped off the board. McCaffrey, Purdy, Debo. Still a couple of names there, though. Let's go to Justin Finsterman, who's got his 3rd selection. He started with Josh Allen. He got Devonta Smith in round 2. What's the call for round 3, Justin?
All right, so this is not going to be very popular. And Felix, I'm sorry if this is what you were planning on doing, but you're getting blocked if this was the case. I'm taking Travis Kelce. Great tight end. We know what he could bring. I know that I picked Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. Let's just say, though, that Buffalo gets beaten and the Chiefs end up going. I'd love to be in that Super Bowl week having Travis Kelce there, Mahomes' favorite target. So that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's an interesting spot trying to figure out what to do. I see why you take Kelce, but you're kind of saying that you might be wrong on the Buffalo pick there. I think I might have went with another Eagle there since you already had Smith. You could have went, I know it would be crazy, but you have Allen, you could have went Dawson Knox, but I understand. I think people are going to be surprised Kelce fell this far since we've already heard a couple people say that they think Kansas City could make the Super Bowl.
You know, it's kind of interesting. At this point, let me confirm all this. We don't have a single drafter in this room who has 2 players from the same team. They've all been mixing and matching. That's through 2 rounds. Now, Edward now has 2 Bengals, but those were rounds 2 and 3. But through the first 2 rounds, there is no tag teaming. There's no QB, wide receiver combo, running back, wide receiver combo, none of that. So everybody's kind of now going off in different directions, I think, at this point. Let's see what Felix has for us. He's got Mahomes, got Debo in the 2nd. Were you crossing your fingers, Felix, for Kelce to come back there in the 3rd?
I'm just rattled. I'm rattled now because I thought he almost made it. He almost made it back to me. I would have had Travis Kelce, and quite frankly, I'd have just took a victory lap right after that if I had Kelce. The draft would have been over. So I'm in a tough spot here. I could create a stack with Mahomes, but this is really hard. It really is. I'm not lying. I am rattled here. I do think that the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl. I think that the 49ers are going to make it too on the heels of that defense, with that defense carrying them. So I am going to take Brandon Ayuk here. I'm going to take Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Again, if you're taking a stand, again, I would have loved your team had you taken Kelce in the 2nd round. It was gifted to you. It would have been a little bit better. So you lost out there, and almost Kelce made it back. But yeah, I think if you're going to take Debo, pair him with Ayuk, I know people might be like, well, they kind of hurt each other. But if you think they're going to play 4 games, you're taking the volume there. And there's room for both to be productive in this offense.
Well, if you say, can I get an average of 140 total yards and a touchdown every week from those 2 and get 4 games of that, you'll take that score in round 2 and round 3. Let's go to round 3 for Simon. He is up with a selection here in the 3rd round. Hurts in the 1st. Gabe Davis, a bit of a surprise in the 2nd. What are we looking at in the 3rd here, Simon?
Got a little tilted last round after A.J. Brown got taken. Went on a limb, took a guy that could blow up But I do have these two teams in the Super Bowl. I've got the Bills playing against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to take another Eagle here, another pass catcher for Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to take Dallas Goedert, tight end, as my selection here in the 3rd round.
Okay. All right. Good job, Simon. You made up for the mistake in round 2. That's exactly what I would have done. You already have Hurts. You got to pair him with someone. Smith and A.J. Brown were gone. So definitely makes sense for the construction of the roster.
Okay. The only man who went back-to-back wide receiver with his first 2 picks is with us, Coop, who went Diggs and Brown. Pretty high-flying combo there. How do you follow it up in round 3?
Yeah. So I'm going to do something here that is a little crazy, especially for this format. And it's really going to put – actually, you know what? I'm going to pivot here. I was going to take a quarterback, but instead, once again, I'm going to let Corey Parson make that decision. Nobody else can take one moving forward. So I can just move forward without a quarterback. Yeah. I'm going to go and take I'm going to take Joe Mixon here. I'm going to take I think the best running back still available. I know it kind of goes against my Bills pick to a certain degree, but I'm taking best player available for the time being, and I'm going to show you guys where my stack is going to come from. It's going to come from the quarterback later on. So give me Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think you get to a point here where you're kind of in a tough spot. I understand why you passed on the quarterback at this point, and what you're hoping for Mixon. If you have the Bills, you hope that Mixon can play, at least 2 games, and if somehow you're wrong on the Bills pick, then Mixon plays 3, maybe 4 games. So he might not be the most talented running back out there, but of the running backs left, I guess that's who he projects to play the most games.
Eric Balkman is next. Now, Eric's already said, hey, man, I'm feeling San Francisco, Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Well, we're running out of 49ers and Chiefs at this point. So, Eric, do you dig deep into those rosters or do you go elsewhere?
Yeah, I think the Ayuk pick by Felix was really smart there. That I anticipated him being there for me either in the 3rd or the 4th round. Didn't happen, which is fine. We just pivot off that. There is a really prime-time, big-time running back out there that I'm actually going to pass on because I think he only plays 1 game in the playoffs. I won't mention his name. Corey obviously knows who it is. But I'm going to go with this is a little bit of a hedge here. I'm going to take the starting running back for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Jalen Hurts is a little bit banged up. Maybe Miles Sanders gets a little bit more action. And if the Niners don't make it to the NFC they don't make it to the Super Bowl, I think it's the Eagles who make the Super Bowl. So I'm going to take Mr. Don't draft me in August. Don't draft me in July. Miles Sanders. I'm going to draft him right now and pair him with Jerick McKinnon in my backfield.
Yeah, I think we are at the point now where you're running out of stacks, right? We talked about the 49ers. He has Purdy. So you have to go, okay, well, what if I'm wrong? And he feels Philly's the other team, and you get Sanders, a guy who could play 3 games, and we've seen how potent that running game could be for Philly, so it makes sense.
With the rule that you can only draft 1 quarterback, we've maybe entered a QB stare down. 5 of our 7 owners have a QB. The only ones who don't are Coop and our next drafter, Corey Parson. He doesn't have a QB, but let's see if he pulls the trigger. Maybe he's going somewhere else. He's got Devin Singletary, George Kittle. You can see it on the board there. Corey, what's next?
I'm gonna go on this round right here with this first pick to end. Well, the last pick of this round, I am going to continue playing quarterback chicken, and I'm going to take Dallas Cowboy wide receiver CeeDee Lamb.
Well, not surprising. Corey is a Cowboys fan, like myself. I mean, look, the Cowboys are a team that can either lose in the first round or they can make a deep run. So we know Lamb's going to put up a lot of points. At some point, we have to take players from other teams. So I know Corey is hoping that there's more than 1 game for the Cowboys.
Okay, well, maybe he'll double down on some Cowboys love. They'll go into Tampa, pull off the upset. You got a second Cowboy or somewhere else, Corey?
The fact that you said pull off the upset when the Cowboys are the favorite.
Oh, no, it'd be an upset. They can't do anything on the road. You know that.
It kind of sets the mood and kind of sets the tone. But listen, you got to be all the way in to win something like this, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab that quarterback. And I'm telling you, do not cause me to break my television screen on Monday night. But Dak Prescott, I'm putting you on this team. And that's it. This is the last chance that me and you are going to have Mr. Prescott. So Dak Prescott is going to be the quarterback of this team, Ronas. I don't know how I feel about this, but it is what it is.
I really think going into this draft, you did not expect to draft or stack the Cowboys. Is that correct?
No, I did not.
Okay, see. Yeah, but again, at this point, if you're going to take Lamb and you're down to the rest of the quarterbacks, you might as well pair him with Dak. Now, it could be painful and you might be done on Monday night, but I think the strategy makes sense in this type of format.
Making it into round 4, Dak Prescott, the first selection, little Cowboy combo. First 2 Cowboys to go off in the draft. Let's go to Eric Balkman. He's got Purdy, McKinnon, Miles Sanders. Still looking for a receiver here. And again, he's got 2 running backs. He can only draft 1 more max at that position. What's the choice, Eric?
Yeah, normally it would be a running back here, but because the rules are stringent and I can only take 1 more, I kind of want to see what happens with value going on when it comes back around to me. There's already 8 receivers off the board. I have none of them. I'm going to go with one right here. I don't necessarily think I'm very bullish on this guy in the playoffs, but I do think he does get 2 games in the NFC playoffs. So I'm going to take Justin Jefferson here for the Minnesota Vikings. Hope he goes ham in the first round. Hope he has a big game in the second round as well. Not loving the pick. I do need a receiver, and I'm willing to roll the dice on what happens with my flex position coming up at the next turn.
I'm just hoping, Adam, for more in from Jefferson in week 19 than we got in week 17 and 18. The dude totally disappeared in those last 2 weeks, didn't he?
Yeah, it was definitely stunning for sure in that fantasy postseason. Yeah, I think the reason why you've seen Jefferson last this long, I think there's a belief, and I'm sure maybe half the room, if not more, believe that the Giants can win the game. We've already seen the Giants be competitive with Minnesota, lose by 3. I think most people feel Minnesota is vulnerable and could lose in the first round. But if you get 2 games out of him, especially in this round, that could be real beneficial.
Let's go next to Coop. Couple of wide receivers, got a running back. He has spread it amongst 3 different teams. He's got Diggs from the Bills, Brown from the Eagles, Mixon from the Bengals. Is there a 4th different team, Coop?
So that pick there absolutely smoked my game plan. I was going to take Jefferson knowing that I could get Kirk Cousins at any point I want because I can take any quarterback I want. No one else can take a quarterback. That hurts, man, because that was one of the last teams that has realistic odds of making the Super Bowl. So I guess I'm going to reveal the direction I'm going to go in right now, which doesn't feel great. But I'll tell you who my quarterback's going to be right now when I take Keenan Allen.
Okay, so the move to the Charger receiver, and it does kind of dictate where he's going to go with his quarterback, Adam. And they have, I guess you'd call it a toss-up coming up this weekend against Jacksonville between LA and Jacksonville in that first round game.
Yeah, I think if there's any team that could be a dark horse, it's them. And the reason is if they win this week and it plays out as expected, I think this is the last team Kansas City wants to see. It's a divisional opponent that has played them very well the last few years, played them down to the wire twice this year. Yes, they make mistakes, and you always worry about Staley making a bad decision. But if they could somehow win this week, I think they are live to beat Kansas City. So, and you have to come up with a team that can do that at this point. Yeah. I think the Chargers are that team.
Simon joins us next. Started with Jalen Hurts way back in round 1. Gabriel Davis, kind of a surprise in round 2. Came back with an Eagle in round 3 with Dallas Goedert. Don't know if there are many Eagle options left, so let's see what Simon has. Simon, what's the pick in round 4?
There are not many Eagle options left, and not many options that I'm staring down over there on the Bill side either. So it's time to – this is where it gets weird. This is where you have to get a little creative. You start looking at teams that you think are going to play at least 2 games. That's the threshold that you're looking for here. I can only draft. Oh, I guess the board's wide open for me. I forgot Dallas Goedert was a tight end for a second. I got everything sitting in front of me now. And when I look at these wide receivers, there's so many big names on teams that I don't think are going to win in week 1. So where do I want to go here? Where do I want to go? I think where I roll with this pick, I'm going to take some insurance on the Bills side of that bracket over there. And I'm going to take a wide receiver on the Cincinnati Bengals, who is the 1B to Jamar Chase's 1A with Joe Burrow. And I'm going to take T. Higgins here as my second wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bengals are a team that can get to the Super Bowl. and Higgins is a huge piece of their offense. I know he had a bad game to end the season, but who knows what was going through his mind after everything that occurred in that Bengals-Bills game. But Higgins is one of the more talented receivers left. And if you look, Bengals can play anywhere from 2 to 4 games.
Let's go next to a man without a running back. And he is the only one on the board without a running back. Felix Sharp is back with us from Campus to Canton. Are you thinking running back here yet, Felix?
Kyle, I'm the college guy. I don't know. I don't belong in this room with you guys. I mean, Ronis has already toasted all of my picks. I didn't get Kelsey with the stack. I have a built-in excuse.
Robinson. You can't go with Bijan Robinson.
Right. I can't. Can I take CJ Stroud here? Is that available? I don't know who these guys are. I'm just looking it up as I go along here. You know what? I'm going to keep this going here. I think that the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl. There's a Chief out there who can score points. I'm going to take Juju Smith-Schuster here.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I think this makes sense. So, Felix, you were doing well. I like the Ayuk pick. I like the Mahomes. I just thought you should have won Kelsey around 2. I'd be loving your team. But yeah, I mean, again, if you have Mahomes, you want to pair him with someone. I thought there was another player out there, but I'm fine with it. I mean, I know Juju has been underwhelming at times, but you made your claim thinking the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, and you put Mahomes. Yeah, Juju makes sense there.
Got some studs on this next team. Josh Allen in round 1, Devonta Smith in round 2, Travis Kelce in round 3. Justin Finsterman, what's up the sleeve for round 4?
Another tight end, guys. Doubling up on tight ends here. Dawson Knox is joining my team now. He's scored about the last 4 weeks. He just had a nice game against Miami here. I want some investment with the Josh Allen pick, so that's going to take up my flex spot right there with Dawson Knox.
Yeah, Justin actually made a decent strategy pick here. Certainly surprising. We have seen Knox
hang around smart guys on BSN or something, right?
Knox has scored a touchdown in 4 straight games. So he's been coming on in this offense a little bit. The targets are up, and you already got Josh Allen, and you weren't really able to get another Bill, which is not surprising since a lot of others are on the Bills as well. So it made sense. I mean, I don't really want to have a flex as a tight end, but again, you have to have a different strategy in this playoff format.
Yeah, and so now he has the Allen to Knox hookup. He gets the Kelce points, Devonta Smith as well. Edward Rouse is next. Monday Night Rants. He's got McCaffrey, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Now he could think about another Bengal receiver here. Let's see what the option is. Edward, what are you thinking for the end of our 4th round?
Well, it's going through the bracket here and seeing, who can play the Bengals in the AFC. And the Chargers can't play them until the championship game. So I could get 2 games from the Chargers and the Bengals. And I think the Chargers can beat the Chiefs. I'm going with Eckler as my second running back.
Ooh, look at that. Austin Eckler, Adam, but probably the number 1 fantasy asset in the regular season, certainly in a PPR setup. He lasts until, it's the 28th pick in a playoff draft.
Yeah, again, it's because people are not projecting the Chargers to go far. There's a lot of people. I think people are split on the Jacksonville Chargers game. So I'm sure a lot of people felt they're not going to win, and you really don't want to take a player with 1 game that early in a format like this. But we're getting to the point where you have to take a shot here. And if you get 2 games out of Eckler, you're going to get great production with the way they utilize him, especially in the passing game. And if they somehow pull that upset off, if they do face the Chiefs, you're in good shape.
4 rounds down, 5 more to go. We are collecting some of the best and brightest here from the Better Sports Network and having a little bit of a playoff draft. Now, this is a draft and hold setup. If you'd like to be a part of a playoff league, if you'd like to face off against some of these experts and many, many others at BSN, by all means, head over to bettersports.com right now. Get registered and signed up for our NFL Playoff Challenge. It's brought to you by Lucra and fantasyguru.com. We've got winners every week. We've got different prizes every week. It's not, hey, you just win at the end of the Super Bowl if you survive. Every week you can win. So get there now, registered. You can build your lineup all the way up until Saturday when those games kick off in the first week of the wild card round. Again, bettersports.com is the place to go. And again, a big thank you to our friends at Lucra. You can download that app right now. challenge your friends in the games you play and in the sports you love with Lucra. And make certain to use that promo code BSN. When you do that, you download the app, you register, you sign up. Promo code BSN.